everyone, this is Jilly Little Zen Crone. Welcome to the Rune Circle. It's week 13, and that number is going to play a part today. It's going to play its part. We are talking about the rune Ao. It's E-O-H, and it's pronounced Ao. That is what Google told me. The meaning of the rune is U. Y-E-W. And the rune that is closest to this in the Elder Futhark is Eihwaz or Eihwaz. And I think it's Waz, W-A-Z. So if you study the Elder Futhark runes, could you please tell us in the comments what this rune means and how you use it, because I'm going to be talking mainly from the Anglo-Saxon Futhark meanings today. So Nigel Pennick says that this is one of the, he wrote the book Runic Lore and Legend about the Anglo-Saxon runes. And he talks about how powerful and magical this rune is. And after learning more about it and kind of having this synchronistic twist in my life of late with this rune, I believe that. I believe that to be true. So let's talk about the rune, Eo. And I have copious notes here. And let me get comfortable for a second. All right. So, it refers to the yew tree, and the yew tree, historically speaking, is the tree that has lived the longest in all of Europe. And they talk about this species of yew being living 2,000 to 5,000 years. So that is a tree with a lot of perseverance and stamina, longevity. It's also a tree that you could almost say is immortal or evergreen. And certainly the leaves of the yew, or those, like, they've got these prickly needles of the yew are evergreen. We have a very large yew out in our backyard, and it needed to be trimmed badly when we moved into the house. And we both know that trees need to be pruned to maintain their health, and we don't like doing it. I never do it. Mr. Honey does it, but we don't like making that decision to do it. It's like giving your kids medicine. You know they have to have it, but you know they're going to hate it. You know, it's not going to taste good going down. So he cut the branches of the yew, and they had been down on the ground for a couple of years. But it's a tree that I just really appreciate looking at. When I open the back door, I can see it, and I can see some pine trees across the alley behind me. And in the wintertime, those are very welcome sights. So the yew is evergreen and beautiful, and yet I learned its bark and its resin are lethally poison. So think about the time when runes were being used in communication, and you can imagine this was a time before guns, before there were guns that instantly killed people. So the thing to use was poison, and I can imagine that yew was a tree that was used to make bows, long bows, and arrows. And I wonder too if they weren't dipped into the resin to make sure that the job was done. I believe that that is probably true, although I did not read that, but I do know that they were used to make bows and arrows. So there's this dichotomy at play here, because there is the longevity and the stamina and the seemingly immortal properties of this tree. And then there's also that it's lethally poisonous and can cause death. So in that way, it's also related very closely to the world tree. And as number 13 in the runes, it definitely links to me to the death card. So there's just a lot of pieces that go together with this rune. Let's look at the rune poems. So the Anglo-Saxon rune poem says, "The yew is rough without, but strong within, dark, enduring, growing where others cannot." So that really speaks to the strength and the stamina and the perseverance part of the meaning of this rune. And then the Icelandic rune poem says that the yew is the bow, cloud cleaver, and terror of the battlefield. And so we have then this real kind of death maker part to the rune. It is mostly associated with the yew bow, with defense and protection, as you can imagine, and with stability in adversity. Also interesting, the yew is pretty strong, and so they used to take the yew, branches of the yew, and carve it into hooks, which are called hakes, that cauldrons or pots are put on and hung over an open fire. So in that capacity, it has this real meaning of transformation, and it takes on the fire element as well. But it's, transformation in that, like, we had the meat and the vegetables, and they go into the pot and they are made into sustenance for us. We have the cold pot going onto the stove or onto the hake over the fire, and then we have the steam rising. So we have this real alchemical property as well. Some of the modern uses for this rune are, for sure, to be using it for protection, and uses in shadow work and ancestor work. You can use it in transition rites, major life changes. You can use this rune to and like to work with or enhance your your intuition. And how do we work with these runes? Well, it's pretty much the way we've been talking about since the beginning of these series. So in this instance, I would draw you on my door. And again, I think I talked about another rune, and I can't remember the name of it now, but another rune that was very strong for protection. And I said that I would slip it into my wreath on my door. Well, I'd probably just drill a hole in it and like take a piece of string and tie it to the wreath on my door, or definitely trace the rune, put it on your hands, use it while you're cooking your food. You can take the rune in your hands like this and meditate with it, or hold it in one of your hands, or switch hands while you're meditating, and meditate with the rune. The other thing you can do which this was my synchronistic event with this rune, because literally right before I started to study, to do like all the research for this video, I wanted Mr. Honey. I asked him if he would make me a wand. And he asked me what kind of wood I wanted him to make it out of. And I said, I don't care, anything, anything that we have around. I said, I think we have a piece of cherry. That would be really nice. So he came in with this wand. I don't know if, I guess you can see it, how it kind of goes up and then it slopes down. It's like perfect for your hand. And I haven't quite finished with this yet. I bought some, I have an amethyst point on it, so I bought some purple rawhide to go on the end of it, and when I wrapped it, I didn't like it. So I'm not sure. My other thought is to use like maybe velvet ribbon, but I'm afraid that like with time, with use, it'll rub off. But I guess you can just put it back on again. What would you do with this? I will say that when he gave this to me, and he carved it, and then he like burnished it or burned it, so there is that black, that color that is talked about with the yew as well, that darkness and light, when he handed it to me, it just felt like powerful, and like this was the wand I was supposed to have. So yeah. So you can make a wand with it, or Mr. Honey can make a wand for you. He'd be glad to do that. And, oh, hold on. I want to get back to the, so you can use it in ritual. Yeah, and I do use that for protection, and I use it a lot for, I've been using it a lot for ancestor work and for inner healing too. And it's also a facilitator in that it kind of helps us, the rune, when we're on a threshold, when we need to make a choice, where it's a Two of Swords moment, where we're trying to make a choice between this or that. I think what it does in those situations is that it helps us to see clearly. Now, some of the stones, the crystals that are associated with this, are labradorite, and I can imagine that we would use labradorite as an opening to our third eye, so we can receive that information. And then also obsidian, jet, smoky topaz, amber, all of those stones are would work really well with you. And I think also maybe even some carnelian. And so I list all these stones, and these are the stones that are listed that work well with this rune. But really what it's about is what feels right to you. What feels right to you in working with this rune, because that's how it's going to work. If you're forcing, if you don't connect with smoky topaz or amber, and you go out and purchase that to work with this rune, I don't know that you're going, maybe the rune will help you to connect with it, but I don't know. I just think we have to do what feels right to us. And like I can tell you, in picking up that wand, when you know. And it just felt right. It's the right wand for me. So those are some modern uses. It's deep healing, connecting with ancestors. It is, I think it's a wonderful teacher of patience and endurance. You know, there are those things that we're in that are, you know, we get impatient. We want to see results. We want to see change immediately, and it's just going to take a longer time. And I think this is the perfect rune to work with for that. Not only to teach us the patience, but to also give us motivation from that evergreen property of the rune. Oh, the elemental associations are both fire and earth. And I can see both, right? Because I can see that alchemical, the transformation part of it as being fire and maybe even a little bit of air, but I can also see the earth, the deep earth from the yew tree. So that is the rune for this week, and I think it is a magical and very powerful rune, week 13. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope it's resonated, and I would love to learn from you. So please tell me in the comments if you work with the Elder Futhark system of runes. Please tell me what if are the meanings, are they close? What are the nuances of it? I'd really love to know. And until next time, everyone, be kind to each other and be kind to yourself.